Hey guys, welcome back here, and right now I'm excited to do a review, which is something I've kind of rarely been doing, but but this time it's going to be a review on this new YouTube series, YouTube web series, which is called Cobra Kai. Now, before I can start this review, I'm going to talk about my brief history with Karate Kid. It's kind of like a nostalgic film. I've been watching since I was in middle school. The first one, anyways. Never really seen the sequels, although I did see the second one like halfway through it. Couldn't get into it like I do with the first one. Anyone kind of likes the first one. It's not that good, I would say, as the Rocky films. Not that you know what how do you say big like the Rocky movies, but it's still very likable and it's good, but I wouldn't say it's good as Rocky films. There was a big series, but the Karate Kid, it's an enjoyable film, especially the first one, and the first one is actually a big thing, which is this series, this show, but yeah, this is pretty much a sequel to the original series, and basically it's pretty much it's like the opposite way around. Now, instead of focusing on the hero, Daniel, he is the main character one of the main characters anyways of this series, but in this instead it focused on the villain from the first film, who's no other than Johnny. Well, also John Kreese, but he barely in this. I'm not gonna tell you where he appears in this, but you know he's barely in this. But yeah, pretty much it's about Johnny, who's played by I really can't. I know his first name William. I can't really pronounce his last name. Zanka. Um, but yeah, pretty much he's played by William Zanka. I can't really say pronounce his last name, but he also plays him from the original film. And this takes place literally, I believe, 34 years. What the hell? Never mind that. This place 34 years after the original films, the events of the original film. And now, pretty much Johnny is pretty much he's living this kind of poor life. He lives in this kind of crappy apartment. He's an alcoholic. It was said just at the very beginning of the second film, that he was kicked out of the Cobra Kai dojo by his own sensei, Kreese, because he lost and all that. Came in second place, and ever since then he kind of revealed that he kind of lived in a very poor life. He does have a family. He had one son, but as he grew up, he pretty much wasn't that much of a father figure to him, rarely. And yeah, and his son has actually been revealed. He's kind of just juvenile delinquent, but anyways, pretty much, yeah, Johnny's living a poor life, going into different jobs and all that, getting fired because, his alcohol abuse, and barely uses his martial arts until one day, he actually encountered this one kid who's actually just so happened to be his new neighbor at his apartment, and this kid by the way, his name Miguel, and he's actually at this convenience store that is right next to his old dojo, which has been shut down since the events of the third movie. And yeah, there this kid was getting bullied by these bunch of wealthy kids, and Johnny was brave enough to help this kid after after the point that they they had his kid hit to his car, and that kind of pissed him off, and then he just decided to face him off and kick the living shit out of them, and then yeah, um, pretty much after the kid found out that he knows martial arts, he tried to try to convince Johnny that he be his sensei, and of course he at first he rejects because he doesn't live that life anymore. given up on martial arts despite he still knows what the moves are and all that. Until one day he was over at like this place, and it was I think it was where um it was like the part where he and his friends were like dressed as skeletons for a Halloween dance from the first movie and beat up Daniel. But they're at this place and he was at his place and then one day, well, at his place one night, and then all of a sudden a group of girls in a car drive to his car, and the person that was driving, the girl that was driving, was texting, so she wasn't looking where she was going, and that pissed him off and all that. And then he decided to have it, be taken over to like a car dealership store, to have it be repaired and all that. And this dealership store, this auto part store, just so happened to be owned by his arch nemesis, Daniel Lusso. Yeah, who's just like Johnny, is played by his original actor, who's Ralph Maxino. I think that's how you pronounce his name. But yeah, pretty much upon learning that, he got a little bit, jealous and all that. That he's now living this, living this really successful life. He is, and Johnny himself is living this poor life, and he decided, he have enough, he have enough with this poor life, and knowing that there's this kid that, is easily, beaten by these bunch of, spoiled brats, and want to know how to fight back, know the move that he does. He decided to reopen Cobra Kai and become this kid, Sente. So, yeah, and pretty much that, I think that's how far I can go. There's more in this, a bunch of more in this, show. Now, this show, it's owned by YouTube Red, which is kind of a bit of a complaint, because I don't know why it can't be like at Netflix or something, because that's where a lot of like original series have been made, like a lot of like superhero shows. But this is on YouTube. This is on YouTube. It's owned by YouTube Red, and you can only watch the first 2 episodes. Although there is a website on the internet. Now I'm not gonna review what the website name is to you guys, unfortunately. You just maybe have to look up, I don't know, for example, Cobra Kai Episode 3 Watch Online or something, and you might find it. But I'm not gonna tell you exactly what this website is. Maybe you guys who get on websites that have free movies and TV shows might know what it is, but I'm not gonna tell you what it is. So sorry. But anyways, yeah, I watched the rest of the series on there, and I gotta admit, this series just kick a lot of ass. I love this. I really do love this series. Let's just start this off by talking about the characters. Johnny, the main character, my God, is hilarious in this show. Pretty much he's like the opposite of Miyagi from, the original movies. Johnny, he's pretty much kind of, unlike Miyagi, he's less calm, and he's always kind of have this, kind of jerky attitude to him. Like, he's calling his students names. He always contained words in them like pussies or losers and all that. And, yeah, it's kind of funny, and he's always swearing at them. It's kind of funny because he's like basically the opposite of Miyagi from the original movies. So, yeah, other thing to say about him is that, this series, now, really, they didn't went in depth with Johnny in the first movie, which was the only one that, well, if you not counting the second one, he was barely in, but which he was barely in, but in the first movie, although he was kind of like a recurring character, they never went in depth with his character. In this series, they do, however, and they actually make him, at least somebody you can actually sympathize with. There's like one episode, I'm not telling you which one was it. You have to, check it out for yourself. Now, you can watch this show on YouTube for free. there's a free trial, but you have to pay at least, I don't know, like actually not much, like $10. So really, you can only pay like these $10 as their like a 30-day trial. But anyways, but I'm not telling you what episode. I saw this. I saw this like I said on a website, but I'm not going to tell you what episode this is exactly. But there was one episode in particular they show him as a kid, and he discovered Cobra Kai and all that, and it was reviewed by his stepdad, and this they actually reviewed about. They actually go through his go in depth with his family life. They reviewed he have a stepdad who's like a rich guy, and he reviews that Johnny was nothing more in life than just like a social reject. Well, at that time, anyways. You know, of course, when he entered Cobra Kai, he ended up getting friends on that, and he dated I think her name was Allie from the first movie. Well, before the events of the first movie started, you know, it was already established and all that. But anyways, um, yeah, um, yeah, they kind of go through with, they kind of show us that he was a loser, just like the kids he's training with. You know, it just fits perfectly with him and his relationship with all his students and all of these kids that he trained, just like who were just like Miguel, who was actually much like Daniel. You know, he trained these kids. You know, and he that make how his relationship matched with them because they're all losers, just like he was, according to this one episode. You know, so basically he's training himself. You know, people that were just like him when he was younger. You know, and I thought that was kind of neat, and it worked perfectly with his relationship with these students. Miguel, you know, he was kind of like he was basically like the Karate Kid of the show. Like I already said, he was bullied and all that, and by these bunch of rich kids. And it was like one episode in particular, his mom reviews that that she was married to a person that was his dad that you never really know because of course she eventually abandoned him when Miguel was still a baby because she realized he was a very bad man. So yeah, and she said this was like in like Ecuador, I think she said. So she moved her, Miguel, the young Miguel, and Miguel grandmother who only knows Spanish. They all move out of the country of Ecuador, and they move up to California. And of course, they didn't just move to California, like in the first episode. Miguel said that he was they used to live in Riverside, but yeah. Anyways, yeah. Basically, he's just like back to Miguel. He's just like Daniel. He's bullied. Eventually, he's discovered this guy who's of course Johnny is a martial artist. He asks for help. Well, it was kind of like Dre from the remake of the Karate Kid. At first, he just like Jackie Chan character of that movie. Johnny kind of first refuses, but when it didn't happen, it wasn't too long until he's reconsider teaching him, by reopening Cobra Kai, and yeah, eventually this dude Miguel learns his moves and beat the shit out of the bullies that been harassing him since episode 1, and this was just in the halfway through the series, by the way, wasn't by the end. Yeah, and he was a pretty interesting character. Everything about him, it's just like Daniel. Eventually, it was funny. The ex-girlfriend, the bully, who actually broke up, who actually show her breaking up with him in this show, ended up dating not Daniel, Miguel. And the interesting fact is that this ex-girlfriend of Miguel Bully is actually the daughter of Daniel. Yeah. So it's this is like all like like a paramount. It's famous. Eventually, now they kind of go in depth with Robbie. Now, Robbie, he's pretty much like I said, he's a juvenile delinquent. He hang out with the wrong crew. who like do drugs and all that, and he's skipping school and all that. And it was shown in this series that he eventually drop out, and what his trick is that he usually get into jobs and steal something secretly and give it to his friends. Now, he upon learning that his dad actually set up the Cobra Kai dojo, is reopening it, he decided to take a sack revenge on his father. Well, not really sack revenge, but just like to anger him, in which decided to work for Daniel Lusso company, become an employee there. It was at that place he became good friends with Daniel. They teach him some things that he realized what he was doing wrong, and eventually they become good friends. And he soon abandoned his old friends. He just rejects them, and eventually he started to learn karate from Daniel. And Daniel is not even knowing that this kid Robbie is actually the son of his longtime rival Johnny. So yeah, and it's kind of crazy. Daniel, it's kind of a bit strange to call him the antagonist of this, because really he's not. There's technically no antagonists in this show. Well, except for the bully, but because he was such a minor antagonist, because upon Miguel beating his ass, he was never shown that much again. Didn't really have as much of a reason to be in this show anymore. But it really ain't no true main antagonist in this series. It's kind of strange, but you can technically say Daniel's the antagonist, which is really strange. Although he is he's the one that is actually calm, and he's calm, and he acts kind of respectful towards Robbie. And on the other hand, he's just like Miyagi. Although on the other hand, well, almost like Miyagi. Although on the other hand, Johnny is kind of disrespectful towards his students. Act disrespectful, like unpresent with them. Calling them names and whatsoever, so on whatsoever. But but eventually he learned respect by them. He because they're losers, and he kind of appreciates them. Like quickly learning his moves. So this show, it's set in the modern day, and I like that. It be like the Karate Kid, the first Karate Kid, like modern day. Like I said, Miguel is Daniel, and it's kind of like it also like take a funny, like I already did, take a funny turn with the whole Miyagi training thing with Johnny, with how Johnny trained Miguel and other students in this show. The other students, by the way, they're all right. There's one in particular who's best friends with Daniel's daughter, whose name, by the way, the guy is Samantha. But and they're all right, but no, I'm not much to say about them because they're just kind of like recurring. There was nothing more than recurring characters in this show, just like how Johnny was in the first movie. But yeah, I like it how they make it look like they made this like a funny take of how a hilarious take of how Miyagi trained Daniel in the first movie, but how Johnny trains his students, and including Miguel. And it was nice to see how the Cobra Kai way of training it, in each episode. So So pretty much that's the show. This ended. I can't wait for season 2. This ended off like a really good, awesome ending. I'm not going to spoil it. I would recommend you guys checking it out. Either if you have, a YouTube Red account, or you sign up for YouTube Red for free. It really costs about $10. So after like a 30-day trial. So really not much to pay for. Or or if you're like me and you look this up on the internet, like look up Karate Kid. I mean, not Karate Kid. Cobra Kai episode 10. Watch online. You might, find this. I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna review the name because I don't want that website to be taken down for future sakes. But yeah, and for your guys' sakes as well. But anyways, that's all I can say. I hope you guys enjoy this. It's review of Cobra Kai. Totally recommend this. And I think it did the service 100%. I don't think there's no problems of this show whatsoever. So, hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'm a nose. Peace.